Rowena Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty. Rowena Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty.
Hey, what's going on? Griffin Gaming RPG, and welcome back to Soul Voices. Today is Saturday, May 27th, and hope you guys are doing well. We are getting near the end of Invictus Week. Things are wrapping up in the community called Soul Citizens. I was going to say Star Citizens. Where the heck did that come from? I guess it is Star Citizens, right? This has been a busy week for us. This is show 2 leading up from Invictus. Actually, I guess we could kind of say we started last week, but tomorrow we're going to be wrapping up with our Invictus show and giving a lot of our thoughts in relation to that. But on today's show, we're going to be talking about a few things from the community, some things that we picked up from Spectrum, one thing we picked up from Reddit, and then something that I picked up from ISC this week. So I'm really excited about that topic in particular. I've got another topic on the show today that I'm really upset about that I'm going to mention because someone took an attack out on me. And so I'm going to talk about that as well. And of course, I'll love to have your thoughts in relation to this blatant attack on me as a gamer. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit as well. But as you can see, the title of our show, I've tried to spruce up our our look here. The title of this week's show is Why Do I Want More Ships? And actually, this is only a portion of what the poster wrote down in relation to this. I thought it was actually kind of a funny post, but I also think it's a pretty legitimate question that they asked. So when you see the full question, I think you may get a chuckle out of it like I did. But we are going to jump in and start talking about that. Let's see who is here. Where's my restream thing at? I don't have my chat up. Give me one moment here. Let me get some shout outs. New Soul Sounds is here. Karsten Christensen is here. Good to see you, Karsten. Black Sky Legion, my good friend Kai is here. Robert Carling is here. Jay, what's up, Jay Voodoo? And Eminence is here again. Good to see you. Danger Hobo is here. Good to see you, Danger Hobo. Got a nice crew to kick us off for this week. And Standard Dev. Thank you, Standard Dev, for that awesome sub, kicking us off first today. And for 37 months, you've been following us since the beginning. You're a good friend of ours. Thank you so much for your support, your continued support, as I should say. Thank you so much for that. So yeah, let's get into it and start talking about our topics. Why is my screen still stuck on live? That's weird. Are you guys seeing the show starting over here, or is I just got a big delay? I guess I had a big delay. Let's see if the show catches up here. My restream. Okay, yeah, it just had a crazy delay thing going on there. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into it, gang, and start talking about our topic, first topic. The title of this is, can we get a response from CIG on the removal of Squadron 42 from the store? Now, some of you guys may know about this, and maybe you don't, but it was noted that when all the information came out for Invictus, that the Squadron 42, you couldn't buy it anymore as an individual package. So let me read to you what the poster says here. A number of backers are getting nervous over the removal of Squadron 42 from the store. I don't think the project is canceled, but it looks concerning without context. My guess is a price change or upcoming news about Squadron 42, but it is all speculation. A simple acknowledgement and a watch this space for more would go, I guess, a long ways toward quieting the noise. Then they put a little edit in saying, looking at the roadmap, lots of Squadron 42 chapters are finishing before September. Maybe an announcement is coming. Maybe. And I know we kind of talked about this previously in the past. I think I even brought it up last week a little bit. I think somebody brought it up when we were talking about this whole thing. So let's go ahead and get started and see what you guys' thoughts are on this removal of Squadron 42 from the chat. I'm going to bring in Kai Zen today first.
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
I'm fantastic, brother. I got a cold beer and I'm running around in New World. Life is good.
Oh, you're having a good time then. Oh my God, that's not beer you're drinking. That's ale. You're drinking grog ale. You're having ale if you're in New World.
There you go. That's right. Well, I'm not picky. You know what I'm saying? And when we get to the point of you said somebody is doing a personal attack on you, I got a baseball bat. I'm ready to give out an attitude adjustment.
Oh, don't worry. You're gonna love what this attack is too, by the way. So don't worry. It's nothing. You don't have to get too violent on this, but you'll get a kick out of it.
Well, Marines don't have to get violent. We choose violence. We wake up in the morning and choose violence.
You're ready for violence. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So tell me what you think about this whole Squadron 42 thing, Kai.
All right. So here's the thing. A German higher court, like Germany has a different court system than America. They don't have they're more like on like Napoleonic law, where it's like it's not case law so much as they have like rules and it's decided once and it's whatever.
Right.
Anyways, a German court that would be similar to their Supreme Court made a ruling in 2018 that said that it's illegal for you to pre-order sell an item in Germany without a release date. And this isn't just about software. This could be about like, oh, I'm going to buy a TV set. I'm going to buy a car, like Tesla. They'll have like, oh, we got this new model and you can pre-order now to get on the list. But like, it ain't going to be out till it's out for a while. Like Cybertruck, people have been waiting a couple years. Like, what's up? Yeah. So Germany made a rule saying, hey, look, you can't do that. You have to sell. If you're going to pre-order sell an item or a service, you have to have a release date for that specific thing. And then because Germany's part of the EU adopted a sort of a broader version of a very, very similar thing as an actual regulation. So in some jurisdictions, it may just simply be a simple fact that it's illegal for them to go ahead and put it up for sale right now. And I think that probably what you're going to find is, now what happens, right, if it's not a situation where it's like, oh my God, everybody's going to start suing CIG. You can't, that's not how it works.
Right.
If the government finds out you're doing something that they consider against the rule, and it's not CIG's fault because they've been selling this since before it was a rule. But now that there is a rule, if somebody were to reach out or CIG's legal department on their own were to just somebody start doing some research, I'm pretty sure they pay quite a few guys quite a few shekels. And somebody somewhere probably looked up and said, hey guys, there's a new rule here that came in the last couple years. We should probably make sure we're not running afoul of it. So then it's a situation of them saying, all right, we're going to have to change this. If all that would happen if they were found in violation by the government or whatever is the government would kind of more or less give a simple version of like a cease and desist kind of thing where they would say like, hey, you really have to, make a change. You have to whatever.
Mhm.
So probably that's bad PR. That's this, that, and the other. So from their end, they're just like, hey, we're going to just go ahead and pull this for now,
Mhm.
because in order for us to put this out, we have to either, like the way Star Citizen is, Star Citizen gets around it because it's playable now in a pre-release alpha state.
Mhm.
So they would either have to make Squadron 42 playable now pre-release alpha, which they ain't gonna do. They do not want to do.
Yeah.
And then, or they would have to slap a date on there, even if it's a date that they weren't going to stick to, but then they're going to get crucified for that.
Yeah. Well, let me go back
ahead.
and say something, because you said this is a possibility. I mean, this may be the case. We don't know, like you said, because like you said, it has been on sale since almost the beginning, right? They've been doing this package thing with Squadron. We'll have to find out. I think it's worth looking into. I think it may be a little bit more than just that, but if there's a legality to it, then that would make sense to a certain degree.
I mean, there's definitely...
Karsten's saying that in Denmark they have something similar, but it doesn't cover things like the ships and virtual stuff. So we'd have to find out specifically.
In Germany, the ruling in Germany very specifically covers pre-release games, because that was a thing that specifically came up.
Okay.
So people, I see, yeah,
it could be.
He's got all kinds of comments there, but like, there's plenty of opinions, but
right, don't get me wrong,
that's a possibility.
It could be, and again, I think that if it could be that, that's fine, but I think there may be something just a little bit more practical to it than that.
Could be lots of stuff. Yeah.
And I'll share that at the end, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it when I toss it out, but I'm going to see what everybody else thinks about it too. Because at first, people were wondering whether it was a glitch because, there was the update to the website and maybe it had gotten left off. And then we said it was either that or something's coming up. And then Paul Shelley did talk with CIG and they confirmed that it was deliberately taken down. So it wasn't the fact that somebody forgot, to update the site or something. All right, Kai. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Gave us some nice legal information there. Let's see. Let me bring in Pop. I think Pop's in space. What's next? Pops, you there? Hello, Pops.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how you doing today?
Okay.
Good. Yeah, Kai brings an excellent point, because I just want to briefly touch on it. We've seen where the law has stepped in on things like loot boxes.
Mm-hmm.
They maybe kind of considered that maybe like a gambling kind of a situation. So yeah, I think Kai is absolutely right. So I'm just going to go towards the question. I'm going to go from my gut, because we may not know, it may be legal. So my thing is that my gut kind of says maybe if it's not a legal thing, it could be a preparational thing as far as the price hike, as far as that, which could be a good thing for it coming out pretty soon. So that's a possibility. So I'm just going to throw that on the table. It's a possibility, maybe coming out maybe a year or so, maybe 2.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, Pops. Thank you much, brother.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what Admiral Kusanagi has to say. Admiral, are you there?
I am.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good. What you got?
I think they just pulled it because they want to make money.
Okay.
I mean, you look at take Survivor, Star Wars Survivor. It's like a $70 game.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody here has been playing. I mean, I think I paid $20 for mine.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at, there's 15, 20 mobile games that are billion-dollar games, and if we really think that we want an influx of money to finish the PU, that's the way they got to look at it. So why not? I guess the question is, why not pull it? And everybody just needs to calm down and wait for it to come out, because I think hopefully this October they'll say something about it, because they haven't done it in the past couple of years.
Okay.
But I think if they really are going to give everybody discounts for in perpetuity, forever, that's kind of just wasting what their potential profit could be, or what the money they need to finish the PU, because it's going to take. I mean, this is a waiting game for the PU, but the Squadron 42 should be out fairly shortly, and I think they need to make money with it, so that's why.
Okay, making it for preparing for the launch of Squadron 42. Okay, thank you, Admiral. Yeah. All right, and last but not least, Fist to Face, you there?
Hey, how are you?
Yes, sir.
So I was didn't even think about that. What Kai was talking about, as far as from a legal aspect, and everything. But I mean, like I said again, it's a possibility, because when this first was brought to my attention, I initially thought, oh, Squadron 42 announcement date must be somewhere close by.
So is that what you think it is, or something else?
I think that my initial thought is still that.
Okay.
I believe, and at the same time too, hopes, but it's who knows.
Okay. You got it up for grabs. We'll see, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Fist, thank you.
All right.
Let me drop in a couple things. And Kirsten, you said no, you don't think that's what it is. Feel free to come into Discord, by the way, if you want to tell us what your thoughts are, because I know you're saying stuff in chat, but I got to figure out where that's coming from. I just did a quick search rule now. I'm going to put this in chat right now, but here's an article that does talk about the fact that in Germany, pre-orders are an issue. They did, and this is back in 2018 when they put this out, but it does state here. Let me bring it up and read it to you guys. I just had it. Where's it at? Oh, here we go. Germans ban vague pre-order release dates. A new ruling in Germany will significantly affect the way pre-orders are handled in the country. The higher regional court of Munich has banned retailers from offering pre-orders for products without a solid release date, according to German news site Heiss, confirmed by Eurogamer.de. The ruling follows a consumer protection claim against leading German electronics chains Media Market over pre-orders for, everything from smartphones, but now applies to all products, including video games. Now that's in Germany, and I think, Kai mentioned the fact that regionally that could be a factor, whether or not the UE is adopting it. I don't know. I've never seen what the website over there looks like. Does the website look differently, or can they make it look differently, or do they delete it from them having access to pre-orders? I don't know. Jay Voodoo Child's dropping in. I'm going to get him, and then I'm going to share my thoughts with you guys on this real quick. Jay, you there?
Yes, sir.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
For the second part of this question or this post is, should CIG comment on why they do stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of the silence is all the speculation and all the kind of noise that gets generated. What's it doing? Getting excited about things and all the speculation. CI can just sit back and just say, okay, let the community go wild with it. Yeah. I mean, and that could be part of it, right? I mean, we have talked about CIGs, even though their communication isn't all that great, their marketing is usually kind of ahead of things. So they very much could be it. Yeah, Admiral, absolutely. I that's why I mentioned it was in 2018. That's why I said, but that's regional. I'm just giving you guys the information. I like I said, I have my own reasons of where I think they're doing it. And Jay, I think you're kind of going down the road that I was going to go down. So I will go ahead and say my thoughts. Okay. Cool. Thank
you for dropping in. Here's my thing. My speculation about Squadron 42 is that this is speculation, guys. Speculation. I have no insider anything. I'm hoping that when we go to CitizenCon this year, CIG will make an announcement in some form about Squadron 42. And my highest level hope is that we will hear Squadron 42's release date is fourth quarter 2024. Something like that, right? A year out. The fact that they sold Squadron 42 as a premium or as something that you could get at a discounted price, for those of you who've been around any amount of time, you'll know that CIG has always told us that was going to be the price that you could get it at for a while. But eventually, this game is going to go to a regular standard retail price, $59. Some people mentioned the other day that mini games are even moving now to $69. Back then, it might have been $49 back in the day. So what I think CIG is doing is recalling it and basically wrapping that up. Now, the other side of that is what Jay said. I think that it also is creating a certain level of hype and anticipation as to what is happening in relation to that. Now, Cyberwolf, I know you're saying that it's a pledge, not a pre-order. Actually, it is a pre-order. The pledging is for the development of the game, but buying Squadron 42 is actually pre-ordering the game because you are going to get Squadron 42 when it comes out. So right now, I think it does fall into the area that you're ordering the game. Just like when you buy access to Squadron, when you buy access to Star Citizen, the Persistent Universe, you're purchasing the game. So I think it does fall into the area of pre-ordering. And pre-ordering often offers a discount sometimes when you buy, like when you buy early access. If you pay for $29 now, you're pre-ordering the final version of the game. It's going to come out at $49 later. So I do think it would fall into the category of that. So my thing is, I think that I'm hoping that there will be an announcement within, by CitizenCon that, Squadron 42, fourth quarter, blah, blah, blah. And then I think that leaves room for them to do the price increase. I don't think it's going to become available again. Now, I could be wrong. I don't think Squadron 42 at a discounted price is, well, not at the price it's been at, which is $20, I think. I don't think that's going to happen again. I think that's gone. If it comes out again, I think it'll either come out when they do the final retail price of it, $49, $59, $69. They could push it out again later as a hype, as a pre-order again, and say get in now at $39.95. They could do that to generate money, and that would create hype too, because people would say, oh, let me get it now because they killed it before. But personally, I think that they deliberately cut it because they're preparing for the launch of Squadron 42, whenever that is. That's my 2 cents on that one. Okay. All right. Oh, and to Jay's point, could they put out some information? No, I think that's deliberate too, because people have asked about it, and they know people are asking about it, and they're looking at the forums. And so I thought somebody said something. Jake said something. I don't know if I saw that right. $45 standalone. Okay, so $45. There you go, Jay. Thank you. 25. Now, by the way, you can still get it if you buy one of the big packages. You can still get Squadron 42, but you have to buy one of the bigger packages. Not a small package, a bigger package, and Squadron 42 is included in that. Okay. All right. Let us move on to the next subject. Now, this is the one that got my goat. Kai said he was ready with a baseball bat. Okay. So let me read this one to you guys. Okay. This is by SNNER. That was the name. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the name because I don't think I misspelled it. Yeah, snner. I guess it's snner. Owning a large ship must be as cumbersome as possible. Space dads need to realize they can't just sit behind their 100,000 health pool Care Bear carrier and AFK the entire game if it's an MMO. Increased wait timers to weeks or months. Increased insurance claims to hundreds of thousands. Introduce component wear and tear. That means the upkeep of a large ship, etc. I love the fact that CIG increased the claim timers. Definitely the right direction for the game. Don't arcadeify this game in terms of space dads who want to spawn their capital class 3 times a day because they keep crashing into stations while trying to dock. Owning a large ship must be a privilege that you must earn. Thank you, Chris Roberts. Okay. Now, yes, Cyberwolf, that's an attack. That's an attack. Okay. Now, let me say this first off. Some of you guys already heard that CIG is going to reduce the timers, right? Because people complained. Now, let me say this. I like the timers being increased, but I also stated last week that CIG needs to make sure that there's stability in the game so that people aren't losing their ships because of 30Ks, something that has to do with the game mechanic that causes them to have to say, now I have to wait 30 minutes, 45 minutes my ship for something I didn't do. If it's related to gameplay, personal mistakes, anything like that, hey, fair game. But until they can get, and notice the 30K thing has kind of come back a little bit. So, people were balking about it, and I get it. This was the same issue that happened before. This is before they fixed 30Ks, when they introduced the timers, before they increased them, and people went ape because some people had like only one ship and they had to wait. So again, I get that, and I think that's fine. But I also believe, and we talked about this last week, I think BBG was on and said it, that we need to start implementing this increased timers so that the players start to get used to it, because they're going to increase more. People were squawking about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's going to go into hours for some ships later on, particularly bigger ships. Do I disagree with this person in relation to timers for big ships? No, I don't. I agree with them completely. The reason why I felt attacked is that I don't call myself a space dad, but I understand where this person is going, right? This person thinks that it's us old guys complaining, or those of us who have the money to get big ships who are balking. I don't think that's the group that's complaining. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's the youngsters. I think it's the jokers who well, okay, I'm gonna be nice about it. I'm not gonna call any particular demographic, but let's just say I am a boomer. Okay. I'm 1 year off of being a boomer Gen Xer. So I think it's the generations behind me who are less patient, who are the ones who want to play now and can't wait, and they want their instant satisfaction. Listen, I grew up from, you know, when there was black and white TVs to where we got, you know, plasma, or to where we got now LED and everything up 4K and 8K. I can wait. Okay. I think it's a whole nother group of folks who can't wait. All right. So that's what I'm mad about. Don't be accusing us old dudes as being the ones crying because our ships ain't coming back. I personally think it's a different generation of people who cannot handle the fact that their ship is gone and they can't do what they want to do when they want to do it. And I said it. Yes, I said it. Okay. So I'm sorry bringing people in. Let me bring in, I'm going to bring in Kai and then Pops and then Admiral and Fist. All right, Kai, you there?
Damn, Griff throwing shade at the end of that one. All right. So first off, just to clarify, he's wrong. There ain't no space dads. If you spending hundreds/thousands of dollars on internet spaceships, that's called space poppy. Okay, that ain't no space dad. That's space poppy. All right, poppy. All right.
Oh God.
So this guy is just wrong on everything. The immenseness of his wrongness is staggering. It's on a galactic scale. So first off, I 100% agree that timers need to be increased for ships. I said that last week when I said CIG was wrong to increase the timers right now. Timers need to be increased for ships because it gives the whole universe a sense of reality, a sense of balance, a sense of, it gives meaning to your choices. If you have a video game that you can't lose because it's just too easy, everything's instant gratification, by that same token, you can't win. You have to have punishment for poor performance or poor choices so that it makes the world that you exist in online meaningful and wonderful. But the time for that is way later in the development process. We're still at the time frame where you go to call your ship, you run down to the hangar, and it's upside down and bouncing off the ground and then explodes right in front of you. And you didn't do anything wrong there.
Right.
And that's so if you get punished for things that aren't your fault, you had nothing to do with, that makes you resent the game. That makes you not want to play the game. That makes you want to go do other stuff and become a refundian and be some real, you know, sour puss on the spectrum.
Yeah.
So I strongly agree that when this game has its act together a little more, and I'm not blaming the game for this. This is a game in development, and this is a game in alpha. This is what alpha looks like. It's all messed up. They're giving us a chance to peek behind the curtain.
Right.
But in doing that, you need to make sure that the choices where you punish the player for poor performance or poor decision making, that those things that have weight to it, the death of a spaceman and all of this stuff, that's fantastic. All of it's wonderful when the game is ready. Right. When the game works the way it's supposed to, and every time you die, it's your fault. Then we have balance, and we have punishments and inducements and greater rewards and greater penalties, and that makes the game richer and wonderful. When you get screwed because the game screws up and you get a massive punishment, that just makes you bitter.
Yep, I agree. Okay.
Love you, brother.
No problem. Okay, man. Thank you, brother. Alrighty. Let me bring in Pops in space. Pops, you there?
You there, girl?
Yeah, Pops.
Oh, okay. Yeah. First of all, thank you for clarifying on the space dad thing, because I am a dad and I didn't know what the 18 double two picks he meant by that because I'm like, that made no sense. And also, I didn't understand the part about privilege. I'm like, I bought this with my money, not your money. Okay, but thanks, Griff. I appreciate that. But I just want to bring up this one real quick point besides Kai. Excellent, Kai, and I agree, Kai, and all that. But this is a thinking person's game. So when they up the time, it should make you think about when the game goes live. If all I own is an 890 jump and I got to stand around a station for whatever days it winds up, you might want to think about buying you a starter ship too. So it could be a little bit marketing there.
Well, they've got a starter because they have to have a starter to get into the verse. But to your point, we talked about this last week, Pops. Remember, we said that the cool thing about this is that it gets people to do other things in the game. Now again, the problem is some people just want to fly their 890, right? That's all they want to do.
Right.
So then that person kind of feels like, well, I can't do the thing I want to do in the game. But, to your point, and to Kai's point, definitely the game needs to be a little more solid so that people don't get penalized for something they didn't do. There is another side to that says that CIG, I always think that even when CIG makes bad decisions, there are also learning opportunities for them and also maybe even development opportunities for them, right? Where they kind of see, first of all, how we as a community respond to something. Two, how do we handle it? You weren't around back at this time, Pops, but there was at one point where we had this thing called hover mode, where we had to learn how to fly the ships differently, landing and taking off. It was a catastrophe. Now, many of us adapted to it. CIG, even though the community, most of the community railed against it, they also learned some things while we went through it. It was a painful period, right? But they did learn some things. And we also learned some things, too, as a community when it came to that particular mechanic. So, I'm hoping that CIG, one, learns something, two, that they get some development learning from this process, too. And then to Kai's point, that when the game is in a much more stable place where players don't get so frustrated with, because see, right now, we talked about this last week too, Pops, like when you go to prison,
right?
When the oxygen machines weren't working and when the mining didn't work, when people went to prison for a long period of time, what did they do? They logged out.
Log out and wait.
You see what I'm saying? They didn't even try to do the escape thing. They're just like, I'm logging out. At least when oxygen machines were working and mining was working, a lot of the people would go ahead and grind it and say, let me do this. I know I can do it and I can get out of here in no time flat. If they add more stuff to the prison, right? Missions, certain things you have to do that people who actually go to prison say, yeah, I can do this, that, and the other. Maybe I can get certain information so that when I get out, I can use it. That will keep people in prison longer. You see what I'm saying? So as long as there's something offered to players, then players may, we may find that instead of people saying, oh, I'll go do something else, they'll play the game. Same thing with this. If I lose my ship, if CIG provides other things that people will do to say, hey, I can still make money or I can do this while I'm waiting on my ship to come back, then people may end up hanging in there. But until some of those things are in place, it's tough for some players.
Exactly. And I was going to bring up another point, like you said, to things that may come down the line. And like I said, I got to give a shout out to one of my main men, DK. They may need to start thinking about if their 890 jump is not there, they may need an Uber taxi. So you might get people thinking.
But see, you need
DK
that, right?
Airline.
But see, that's not there yet. There's no way for people to advertise that. For example, even the NPC transports leaving from spaceports aren't in the game yet. You see what I'm saying?
In the game.
So even if I wanted to meet up with my friend somewhere, I got to actually have my friend come pick me up. I can't get in a ship, an NPC ship and meet them. So they, like you said, there just needs to be a few more of those mechanics in to make that gameplay, where people will say, hey, at least I can still do so-and-so. But right now, for some people, it just kind of stops. All right, Pops. Thank you, brother.
All right.
Good stuff. All right. Let me bring in Fist to Face and then Admiral. Yeah, Fist.
Hey, how are you?
Okay.
Let's bring in Admiral first, but no problem.
Okay.
No worries. So, all right. I'm not gonna hold back my words and on who the demographic that or the real ones that those young whippersnappers, as we can call them. But I when I think about this, and I have to agree, yes, because my philosophy in this game, because as you know, I speak about the Orion, like that's my baby. Comes into the game, and I believe when something's so valuable, I look at it as in the real world, okay, I'm protect this protect her with all everything.
Mhm.
So I know that if something goes wrong with it or is stolen or wherever it is I'm trying to reclaim it, I'm thinking it's going to be about at least a month
Okay.
to get it back. But that's not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, because right now the game is not at its state for that penalization.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would like to ask the question though, which is this: does CIG see this? I'm not quite sure they see this as the statistics as to seeing, okay, well, when ships are being claimed, right? Are they being claimed from a ship that's been damaged? From a player or something like that?
Whether it's because of the game or whether it's no. I know what you're saying. No, that's not it. In fact, that was one of the things that came up when they did this before.
Okay.
There's nothing to determine whether it was by my fault or the game's fault, basically, is what you're saying. Right.
Okay.
And yeah, unfortunately, there isn't anything in the game yet that would allow that. Now, mind you, they're getting the analytics for it, but it doesn't. But it's not dictated to us as the players. So if my ship got blown up because of a 30K, or lost because of a 30K, can I go to the kiosk and everything's right there? No, I've got to go through the whole wait timer thing and everything because it's not my fault, but that's what I got to do. Right. And that's the frustration. Now, let me say this too, real quick, Fist. There are certain ships that are very popular in the game. And most of the complaining I hear are those ships. And I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm just saying most of the people who are pushing back. It's the Hammerhead and the Carrack.
Okay.
The longest waiting ship is the 890. And I haven't heard any 890 people squawking. And I'm not saying that because I like the 890. I'm just saying those people, because they don't fly them that much. You know what I'm saying? But the workhorses in the game for multiplayer, for Xenothreat, for, all that other stuff is like the Hammerhead and the Carrack for cargo runs. And so people not having access to those ships in particular are probably the ones that are, because they got to wait. I think a Carrack is an hour and a half if you don't expedite it. Mm-hmm. And I think it cuts down to 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I think, if expedited. And the Hammerhead is the third longest ship. Now, other ships below that, it goes down to, like the Freelancer, something, the Dur and stuff. It doesn't go down to the regular Freelancer. It doesn't include the Prospector. Some of the working class ships, the starter ships, they're not included in that list. Now, some of them did get a slight increase, but the ones who got the significant increases are like the bigger ships, right? The Constellations and things, and working your way up. Okay. So that's kind of where things are with that. Okay. But no, to your point, that's it. Okay.
Got you.
All right, brother. Thank you, man.
Understand.
All righty. Good question, though. Let me bring in Admiral Kusanagi. Then we got MT Stunner there. Admiral, you there?
Hey, guys.
Hey, buddy.
Hello. Well, I guess I pretty much changed what I was going to say.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, listening.
Okay. So I guess the first thing is, I just want to touch base. He says like people can't be AFK from the ship and stuff like that, but we all know that NPC crews will never be better than fully manned crews. So his thinking that we're just going to one man these ships is kind of like off the mark. I certainly understand that the claim problems, what's going on, like say you crash your ship outside just anywhere, I guess, if you just crash your ship. Mm-hmm. But like what everyone's saying, like especially Fist with like these timers, it should be like a month long. That's always been my expectation for large ships, but especially for like Idris size vessels, they should be at maybe 45 days. Mm-hmm. Because the idea here is that they're supposed to be, there's not a giant parking lot that's like, okay, this is the 350R and this is the MSR and all this other stuff where there's just 1,000 ships ready to go. Mm-hmm. Like we have to get in line into wherever they are in the construction process. And then once that's done there, then they'll be shipped to us. And however they want to finagle that, if we have to ship them to the location we're at. Really, if you look at, say, a BMW, I could call up BMW right now and be like, and call in Germany and be like, hey, how long would it take to order a car? Mm-hmm. And they pretty much know exactly what the timer is for that, or the dealership near me that could tell me the time for that. Mm-hmm. So if they're already telling me what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take for me to do that, then SIG should kind of get, I think what they should do is probably when they put all these ships out on the website, mm-hmm. they should say, hey, this is the timer for getting a ship.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they will.
I mean, they can do it right now. You know what I'm saying? They could do it now, plus not including travel times, because your travel time is going to be different. I mean, we all know that Crusader right now is, the MSR is built on Crusader, and it's right there. So if we're in Stanton, it's pretty quick. But if I'm in, like, I don't know, just pick a system, we don't know yet how long it's going to take to get there. So I think it's going to be very, very varied, based off of manufacturer and based off their capacity. And right now, I think, yes, they should increase the time so people get an understanding of what's coming in the future. But other people have said is like people don't want to be so restrictive, I guess. But they should be. I think by doing something like that on each ship, they should like warn people like this is the estimated time it's going to take you in the future. We're not going to like penalize you now for it, but it kind of give the new people who don't even know about Squadron 42 and all, just the new people in general, that this is a thing that's coming in the future and you should be very aware of it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that the timers idea, I think, is absolutely right on that. People need to know. It's still being worked out, Admiral. Like you said, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, both so that the players understand the dynamic. And again, if you weren't around back in the day to know, like you gave some examples of, there's, CIG told us that there's going to be several factors to determine when your ship comes out. Location of where you are versus where the shipyard is that develops your ship. The ship being rebuilt. Some ships are not going to be like they're on the showroom floor. Some ships are going to take a little bit more time because you request them. Hence, one of the reasons why we see at Crusader where their shipyard is. There's shipyards at Terra. There are other locations where there will be shipyards where when you need to get a ship, that's where it's going to come from. And either you've got to travel to it or you're going to have delivery for it. Then there's the scaling that CIG talked about of how much ships will cost. There's insurance for components, insurance for the ship, whether or not they will have NPC delivery. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they've talked about, and it hasn't been worked out yet. So we'll just have to kind of keep our ears open and see how CIG maps out that particular gameplay and mechanic for the game.
Yeah, you mentioned salvage real quick, and that brings up a very good point, because I know I've heard them talk about, like, well, maybe you find an Idris that's got an engine on it, so you want to take that for your own ship. So they haven't really talked about, like, I go to a car repair center. They haven't really talked about ship repair centers yet. And that would be interesting to say, like, hey, my car is totaled or my ship is totaled.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. CIG talked about the fact that destroying a ship is going to be extremely difficult. There will be more damage of ships than repair, than getting brand new ships. Okay. So for the most part, when your ship gets disabled or damaged to a point where you can't fly it, there will be more of a retrieval of ships. So that when your ship goes into repair, it won't be like the magic, thing that we get right now, the hand wavium of pushing a button and your ship is quickly repaired. Ships like the Crucible, for example, will be ships that you will call to repair your ship. And there will be a time factor. There will be resources and materials that have to be on that Crucible to repair your ship. So there's a whole lot of mechanic that has not been fleshed out yet. We've just gotten used to, the idea of going in, pushing a button, boom, everything just pops back on your ship and you're good to go. That even is going to change later on. There may be even a wait time tied into how long does it take to repair my hull C that literally got destroyed to the point where I couldn't fly it anymore. So again, this whole repair mechanic, even the salvage mechanic, as you just mentioned, and reclaiming mechanic are all going to be, CIG's going to have to find that fine line and that tightrope of what time is enough that in the gamer's mind it makes sense and they're willing to deal with it, versus when they cross the line and players say, it's too frustrating to even play the game. And they're going to have to nurture us into that because, as I mentioned with this post, players are so used to instantaneous gratification and not long-term gratification. Some of y'all don't know what that is because y'all wasn't born long enough to know. But there's a certain gratification you get when time passes and you get something. It's called earning it, right? It's the fact that you have to work for it. And don't get me wrong, I know most of us work for stuff in the game, but even our working for games quite often is built around workarounds or metas, and not the idea of hard work to get somewhere where we feel rewarded by it. So when it comes to getting your ship back, you're going to be polishing that sucker when you get it back after that repair, because of the amount of labor or resources or money or time you had to invest in getting that ship back. It's going to be way more than just clicking a button, guys. Hate to tell you that, but based on what the history of what CIG has told us from those days of 10 for the chairman to today, it's going to take a little bit of work. Okay.
Yeah, New Souls brings it up in asking about, the time frame, say having it in queue at Cousin Crow's. So
yeah, but what happens if you're not at Cousin Crow's? You know, I mean, yeah,
right. You have to tow it there, right?
Yeah,
or
right.
Whatever is similar to Cousin Crow's.
Yep.
So it could be a thing where we don't see, especially large ships, we don't see a lot of claims going in because something like crazy would have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if so, then yeah, you have to call the manufacturer and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it takes 2 weeks to get in to finish the queue at Cousin Crow's or whatever they want to use for quote unquote repair yards. That I feel like we should start looking around for repair yards now in like the new cities, like
so we'll know where to go.
Yard.
There you go.
So,
all right, Admiral. Thank you, brother. All right. Last but not least here, let me bring in Admiral. Admiral, I can't move you for some reason. You have to hop out yourself.
I'll pull myself out.
Okay, all right. Let me get MT Stunner in. If I can get MT in here, I can't. There we go. All right. MT Stunner, you there?
Hey, Griff, how you doing?
Hey, man, how are you?
Good. So, first thing in response to this post, I would just say that human sociology is not going to change so much in a future, either fictional or real, that there won't be space dads and space punks like the one article.
Okay.
But my main problem, which I think is the source of all this, that is my main beef with CIG, is their communication. Like, I have no problem what they decide to communicate, but it's like every time they do make a decision that, hey, we're going to put a communication out there, they always seem to mess it up. And I think everybody understands that it's way too early at this point. Like, most of us that have been around for a while now with the game know that there's going to be an increase in timers, when the game launches. And even if it's somebody that's newer, like, none of us really know all the factors that we're even speculating about right now that might affect those things yet. So it's way too early.
True.
But we also all know that it doesn't make any common sense unless they're doing some specific testing to increase the timers right now. So, like, I love Xylo, but like, if you read his message that he put out there about them, they heard us and they're going to be setting back the timers, it was a very canned response. And I feel like the new scapegoat that they use is that we're collecting analytics. If that were really the case, which I'm totally fine with, I think all of us would have been fine if they just put out a communication saying, hey,
just say it.
They didn't even need to give us specifics. They just needed to say, hey, just to let you guys know, we're going to be increasing timers because we need to do some testing.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be changing back in the next patch or maybe the one after that. Please bear with it. Thank you. Yeah. Nobody would have had an issue if they would have just said that.
Agreed. I agree.
Instead, they're always playing catch up like they are now. With PR.
Yeah. And it's, again, that's why I said earlier, communication, their marketing's great, but their communication isn't, and it always seems to, and I don't know what the deal is with that, because sometimes I feel like I'm wondering, do they have I don't know how to say this, the heartbeat of the community, if that makes sense. I was listening to, I used to play Star Wars Galaxies. I've talked about this a million times before, but Star Wars Galaxies had a council. They were like from Star Wars, like the movie, and they were players, and they would get together with this council of players. There was dozens of them, however many they had, to get their feedback on decisions and things that they were doing in the game. And sometimes they didn't, listen to the council. Other times they did. But these were the hardcore players who really had vested interest. They didn't get paid, but they had vested interest in the game. Now, I know we have the Evocati, right, as testers, right? And I know they give feedback as well. But I don't know if Evocati gets like this type of stuff where they tell them, this is what we're going to do. What do you think? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it goes to that level. And I wish that CIG would implement something like that, and it could be rotational. You don't have to have the same people on. Maybe people do a 3-month stint, a quarterly stint, right, for what's coming up, and just to get feedback from players. And these could be people who are well known in the community and people who just stepped into the door with the community, just to be able to see. And I know that there's a lot of contact that they do, like for bar citizens, they get and sit and talk with people and hear things. But I do wish that there was like this group, I don't know, Senate. We could call them the Senate of UE, you do your term or something, but they could actually send out stuff to these people. I'm not talking about gameplay related. I'm just talking about, here's some things we're looking at, give us your thoughts. And that's it. That would be it. Before it comes out this next quarter, this is what we're thinking about. They could do NDAs on them folks. of course, and I know that's always tough, right? Because stuff leaks, right? But I mean, but you could also say, hey, we're just talking about it. Whether it's going to happen or not, may not happen. We just want to get your feedback on some things we're thinking about. But anyway,
right. But
that's
actually,
my
I
2 cents.
think the opposite happens. I mean, I completely agree with you, but
Mhm.
like, you know, I've been in other like streams and stuff where Xylo's been a part of the chat,
Mhm.
and you know, I mean, I completely believe that Xylo. Well, first of all, I know he's a very smart person,
Mhm.
but you know, he is passionate like us. He plays the game. He wants the best. You know, he's in our corner. So when I read messages like that one that he did in response to like, you know, we heard you. We're going to be, you know, adjusting the timers back, and
Mhm.
you know, we collected some analytics. That says to me like, you know, that he did send that test off to like somebody in the company,
Mhm.
and somebody else within CIG was like, no, you have to make it more of a canned response. That's what worries me, you know.
Well, there's always going to be somebody over them. You know what I
Oh,
mean? No
sure,
matter
sure,
what.
sure.
You know, that's the tough part about it. I mean, as candid as they could be, it's always a tough situation. You know, especially when there's been a flub, right? That's a difficult thing. And you know, every once in a while, CIG will acknowledge that, okay, we did this, that, and the other. But I agree with you. The communication could be better, especially for something like that, because we knew the timers, because it happened before. It was a huge uproar when they did the timers once before. And it would have been great to have kind of given a better heads up on it with a reason. And unfortunately, it's bitten them a little bit in the butt again, because the game's not. And I know when I looked at the advertisement for 319, when they ran that trailer, it's one of the things it said was greater game stability. So I kept hoping that when they were going to do the timers, that would be what would happen, right? That we would get in and we wouldn't run into the 30Ks and stuff anymore. And because I knew if that came up again, people were going to balk about it. And of course, you know, the instability is still there in some cases. So anyway, thank you, MT, as always, man. Appreciate you. Okay, gang, good stuff. Yes, Space Dads, unite against these folks talking about we are just crybabies and Care Bears. Anyway, don't get me started. Okay, let's go on to our third topic. I think you guys will have fun with this one. I love this gal. It was a funny post to me, so I definitely had to put this up. Okay, this one was on Reddit. Okay, title of it was "I suck at this game. Why do I want more ships?" Okay, this person says, this is who is it again? It's the TheokolesofRome. TheokolesOfRome. Theokoles. I'm gonna say Theokoles of Rome. Yes, Theokoles. Theokoles. Me and my bad spelling here of pronunciations. Theokoles of Rome. I'm back playing after remembering I had a starter pledge ship years ago, and I have no idea what I'm doing. My playing experience is choppy to say the least. I honestly don't know if anyone gets a playable connection. My first delivery mission, I lost my Cutlass Black by parking with the LB door down over a slope, and then it got blown up by another Cutlass. I tried to rescue the equipment from my corpse only to get shot to shreds. My dogfighting is a joke. I failed or glitched every mission for the past 2 weeks. Not exaggerating, but damn it, I really want a Terrapin. Oh boy, a whole bunch of people jumped into the queue for this one. Okay, I don't know who got here first, guys. Forgive me, okay, because I was reading. So I'm going to bring in Pops first, okay? And let's get your thoughts on this one. Pops, you there?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, this is my brother.
Okay.
Right here. And we both clumsy as hell.
Okay.
So I understand where he's coming from, you know, and everything. But you know what? You got to have fun with your clumsiness. And you just got to give yourself some time and work it a little bit by a little bit.
Okay.
And have some patience. And one of the things we talked about, know yourself, know your limitations. Don't try to get out.
Well, but he admits it. But he admits it, Pops. He admits he's got problems, right? So evidently he knows he has limitations. But the question he's asking is, why do I want more ships?
Because they're beautiful.
Okay.
They look good.
Okay, is that why?
And you can shine them up in your hanger.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you could do with it.
All right. Okay, Pops. Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right. Let me bring in Kai's in next here. Kai, you there?
Hello, good brother.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, by the way, let me cut you off real quick. I got to get some shout outs. Royce
Yeah.
Darby, thank you so much for that sub earlier. Appreciate that. I let 28 minutes go by without acknowledging you. I know Fast Cart did, but thank you. Also, don't forget, guys, you guys can click on the link and come in and chat and talk with us. I have some wonderful friends who come in every week and support us, but we want to hear some new voices as well. So please, if you guys have a thought on this, please feel free to jump in. Okay, go ahead, Kai.
Hell yeah. So first off, let's start with the name. It's Theokolles of Rome.
Mhm.
If you remember from Spartacus, that show on Cinemax, Theokolles was like the 9-foot tall albino dude with the long blonde hair.
Oh,
And his
okay.
face was all scarred up and he
Mhm.
looked like a gladiator version of Hulk Hogan. So yeah, that's who that was.
Okay.
The answer to your question, I suck at this game. I keep blowing up. Why would I want more ships? Here's the answer: because CIG's marketing is very good, and they set the respawn timer for a long ass time. So when your ship blows up, if you have 10 more ships, you can instantly just hop into
Jump in
any
another
one of them
ship.
and keep juggling them and just put in another. I'll request this one, and then I'll take that one out. And by the
That's true.
time I get through my half dozen ships that I spent all my rent money on, now I don't ever have to wait. I'm good to go.
Yes, that's a good. That's it.
For just $500, you too can get
Continue
a
to play.
dozen Furies.
You can continue
and
to
just
play.
when one blows up, hop in the next.
Or just go buy the 12-pack of the Mirais, right? You've got 12
That's
of
what
them.
I
You can
just
just go
said.
through a
That's what I'm
dozen.
talking
Yeah, the
about.
Furies. Yeah, that's right. Just
Yeah,
go
the
through a
Mariah
dozen.
Fury. Yeah.
Okay, good point, Kai. Good point. All right, thank you,
I'm
brother.
out.
Oh man, that's funny. Let me bring in Fist to Face next. Fist, you there?
Hey, how are you?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so I'm gonna throw out a little something here.
Mhm.
I think this is a good slogan I heard for I think it was the other day or so. I think it was something like this. It went something like this. 1-800 I have a damn problem.
Okay.
Because if you continue to want more ships and you know you can't fly them,
Hmm.
you have a damn problem.
Well, this is what the person, the first commenter on his thing said. You, like many of us, have the sickness. Okay, that's actually what somebody said. Okay,
and listen,
what's the problem? Is it a bad problem or a good problem?
No.
What do you think?
No. And
Okay.
this is what I'm clarifying.
Okay.
I don't want folks to take it as a negative, but I'm just saying you have a damn problem. I too suffer from that same damn problem.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Now, luckily, I do know how to fly a ship. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not saying I'm not, flying into, space stations or, asteroids or whatever. But every occasionally, I'll have my oops moments. But I will agree. Yes, I have a damn problem. And I just want this person, he or she, to acknowledge that they have
a problem.
A damn problem.
Well, I think
and
that
there's
they
a
do.
phone number for it.
I think that they do, because they mentioned the self-awareness. They're willing to acknowledge all of the stuff that happened, like you said, but they do ask a good question, like, why do I want to still, even after all that? That's basically what they're saying. Even after all that, I still want to play this game. I want to do more, which is cool.
And all I say to everybody who suffers from this illness, embrace your damn problem.
Okay, Chris. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, we're going to bring in Admiral Kusanagi. Admiral.
Hey, person has a problem, and you just kind of accept it. I think everybody has actually gone through this experience of like leadership and what it sounds like probably turning off the power, which is probably the worst thing you can do. The door open is just bad idea number 2. Lesson learned. So and I know plenty of people who are like just really bad at fighting other ships right now, or that they've said, hey, I need to get a HOTAS because I'm outclassed and I need this, and so now you get all these people who got like I still play off a keyboard and mouse. I think I do okay. I know I'm not the best because of it, but I just find it funny that the person wants a terrapin, which is like a ship where you can just see everything around you and is like super armored, so you can't get blown up. So it's kind of that's what the one thing I pull from that. But I think it's just I think everybody goes through this, and just like everybody this past week were blown away by the RSI vehicle with that commercial and that music. And they were just, I just put it on. I was like, I'll watch this. I was looking at something else because it was just starting to go up, and that music hit, and I was just like, whoa. And I think everybody in this chat and watching this was just like, holy crap, this is like an amazing thing. And everyone's like people who didn't give a damn about like luxury vehicles are like, oh shit, should I buy this like right now? Like, is that quote unquote their terrapin? Is it their terrapin moment? Like just buying the new vehicle just because of this amazing commercial? And that's what it comes down to, is like, you see like what would this experience, they're selling an experience on RSI. Like this is the experience that this vehicle will get. And like, if people who weren't, there's a lot of people here now. So last night, a bunch of Soul citizens went out and they test drove these vehicles, and I think the night before, and people like, wow, this is really cool. All I heard was like, this ride's like fantastic, and sitting in the back, and like that's what they're selling, and that's the experiences they're pushing for. So that's why he sees like the potential of what this game is coming into, and he's like, just being in a Cutlass Black is really, really. That was like, I think that was my second ship. I think they had the 315 first. And I was like, wow, this is cool. And then when you see another ship, you're like, oh wow, what does that do? I'm like, oh, how does that fly? And look at the engines; they swivel like this, and it's just that thing that Star Citizen invokes on people. It's wild, and they should be held accountable for that. So I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. It's funny.
That's good. Thanks, Admiral. The CIG should be held accountable. You guys put some really interesting things in chat here, so I want to read a couple things here. Wow. OG Lockpin said, I keep blowing them up. That's why I need so many. Cyberwolf, it's not a problem. I refuse to see it as a problem. It's just my way of life. Shady says, dial 1-800-SC Rehab. Theorem, that damn hopium and copium. Zombie Pig, I laughed at yours in particular. I got 99 problems, but ships ain't one of them. OG Lockpin, it's not a problem. It's a personality feature. You guys have some great stuff in here. Pilgrim, I have a wife. I think my wife would rather me buy more ships than go to the pub. That's a good one. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why, and I think a lot of us, can sympathize with this person, right? I mean, this is somebody who's coming into the game, hasn't been here in a while. They're excited, and even with their failures, something is still tugging on them, wanting more, right? And I think that's what it is, just not more ships, but just wanting more. And I will agree, their marketing is just strong. We've talked about this. Last week we did our show on the fear of missing out. But man, you see one of those trailers and before the trailer, I'm not buying anything. I've got enough ships. I'm not thinking about anything. And then like Admiral says, you see that Lynx commercial, and you could care less about touring or whatever, but you see that commercial and you're like, your brain starts clicking, right? It's like, man, I could use that. I could use another, vehicle. And, it's crazy. It really is crazy. So TheokolesOfRome, we understand, we sympathize, we empathize, we feel your pain. But yeah, be careful about wanting more ships. All right. Once you start going down the rabbit hole, it's a rough place to go. All right. Okay, gang. Thank you. You guys, that was great. We had some fun. With that one. We got one last one here. Let me turn it off. Oops. Okay. I'm looking at the wrong screen. Why is it not going away? All right. Now, this is all theory crafting, this last one, gang. Okay. So don't go too deep on the theory crafting, y'all. I'm just picking this up because I just wanted to find something fun to talk about. But last week, this last ISC, just a couple days ago, we saw the information about the links, the new RSI links, and then we saw information about the Tumbril Storm, the new tank. And I'm not going to talk about either of those. Y'all already jumped in chat. And that's not even what I'm going to be talking about. But you can stay because I think you may still want to talk about what I want to talk about. But this is what I want to talk about. Was Jimmy's appearance a fluke? Now, you guys know that CitizenCon well, IAE, a year before, we saw this whole thing go down with Jax, and he took the Odyssey. He goes to Pyro. Chips end up getting destroyed. Then last year, we hear this whole story of him being in Pyro and everything. And he's trying to get out, and Jimmy goes to rescue him. And there was this emphasis on Jimmy, which we never really had before. Jimmy was kind of a sidekick. But even though a lot of it was about Jax, even more it was about Jimmy. And we know that Jimmy goes to Pyro to rescue Jax. And that's where we're left off at. Then this week, we see this character of Jimmy in real time at CIG. And this has been tied to going into Pyro, this whole thing over the last year. My question to you is, was this a fluke? Did they just decide to put, dress somebody up as Jimmy just for the fun of it in the lulls? They did the whole joke thing about the elevator, surviving, coming out of an elevator like a D&D game, tabletop game. But they focused in on Jimmy being there. What do you guys think? Is this becoming something? Is Jimmy the mascot, Shady says? Is Jimmy becoming the mascot? Let me bring in Pops, and let me give you your thoughts on this. Pops, you there?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about my FOMO, but let's talk about Jimmy.
Yes.
I think he's going to take a bigger part, which I like. I like that they develop the characters. We like them. We become more involved, and we want to see more. So I hope and I think that he's going to take a bigger role because he came in to save the day. Guns blazing. His boy was in trouble. Wait a minute. Jimmy's just a friend, right? That's not a. Well, we don't know if that's his father, right, Jack?
No, he's not his dad. All we know is that he grew up watching Jax as a kid, and ultimately got to. We don't know what his role is. He's an intern. He's his assistant. We know that, right? But that's all we know about him. That's all we know about him. Yeah. Okay.
So my theory is I'd like to see his character develop a lot more.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. More character development. All right, Pops. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let me bring in, I think Kai was next. Let me bring Kai. Kai?
Hello.
Yeah.
So, look. You can criticize CIG about a lot. You got time? I'll go for an hour or two. No, never mind. Their marketing is on point. They spin a story. They sell a feeling. They basically accomplish all of the best bits of movie trailers and like car trailers where you see that sizzle reel and you're like, I gots to have it. Jimmy, I think to me, he's this interesting, so the point that I'm saying is they're way too damn good to half-ass this. And Jimmy was the foil to Jax. He was the guy where Jax would be like, oh, well, we're going to have to go ahead and do this thing. Let's go ahead and do it. Here, let me hop out. Jimmy, you give it a go. And then Jimmy would blow up. And it was like the Acme Coyote, the Roadrunner, the Coyote. So Jimmy started off as his foil. But in this last year with the story as they went through of Jimmy having to go and rescue him, there was a really great movie, phenomenal movie called The Life of Walter Schmitty that starred Ben Stiller, where it was this guy that worked like at an office in a cubicle and he hated his life. And he just kind of like goes out and walks the earth and goes through these amazing like adventures. He's like running around, like he's like climbing Kilimanjaro and running around in Fiji. And like, he's just out there in the world living these whatever. I think when the commercials hit for last year, they had an idea and they told a neat little story. But I think that CIG maybe even was a little surprised by the way everybody grabbed onto Jimmy's hero's journey, the classic hero's journey. And I think they were like, hey, we could work with this. We could do something. The fact that you're seeing Jimmy here, I would love to see basically Jimmy become Star Citizen's Forrest Gump,
Mm.
where as year after year goes by, after the game is released and big things are happening, Jimmy's always sort of that character in the background. Even, and there's sometimes where the guy who is the sidekick can move on and become like even a bigger story.
Standalone.
Like maybe Jax at some point semi-retires or whatever, but it becomes the Jimmy story and his character arc and his hero's journey. Like, this is all completely off the top of my head. I have no whatever, but like, I really think these guys, they're smart cookies.
They know what they're doing.
They're storytellers and they're advertisers.
Not just some random thing. Okay. No, that's a good
I'd love
point,
to see
Kai.
it.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right.
All righty. Let's bring in Fist to Face. Fist.
Hey, all
Yeah.
right. So I forget what the term of this type of character is back, when you kind of learn this in film school, stuff like that. Because Jimmy, I'm just gonna say it, like Jimmy is likened, when you think about it, he's likened to like Din Djarin from Mando. Only difference is Mando took his helmet off. So Jimmy has this likability that, like Kai and everybody else talked about, he, becoming a mascot for SC. There's also this big, I'm quite sure there's this big anticipation. Will Jimmy take his helmet off? Right? Because I'm quite sure that question is floating out there.
Yeah.
So this is a great position for this character with CIG.
Okay.
Just to say it, like I said again, like I said it, they know what they're doing. They study.
Okay. All right. Cool. He's not a fluke. Okay. Thank you, buddy.
No, they know it.
Okay. All right. Let's bring in MT Stunner. MT.
All right. So I used to have a copium inhaler. Now I just walk around with the intravenous stand,
Okay.
I'm so glad you brought this up. So I'm not alone. I had the same thought because, the letter from the chairman, he talked about, by the end of the year, Pyro. And then we haven't heard anything about Road to Pyro, for the longest time now. This is, a second appearance of Jimmy, in a video. And I think, with how, actually, too, that first video they did at the beginning of the year, they talked about separating out the tasks of needing server meshing for Pyro and being able to actually, get us into the Pyro system, plus all the work they've been doing on it. And also in the Links video, I think it was, they showed further work on some of those planet terrains in Pyro that they showed us before. So you can see that they came along further. I'm thinking about especially the one with the rocks that have like the tabletops on them, but now the surface was all like the purple crystal.
I'm glad you say that, because the whole Lynx commercial, those environments were all probably Pyro. I don't think any of that was Stanton at all. I think it was all Pyro. So it's a great, you caught that, Bill, which I think a lot of people missed. I think some people saw it with the rocks and stuff, but they didn't get the fact that whole thing was done, it seemed, in Pyro. So go ahead.
No, I'm totally with you. So I think, I think they might say something about Squadron 42 at the end of the year, but, and this isn't my own thoughts, but I had heard some other people that usually get, they have some more connections with CIG, even if they don't get told things directly, but they said, pretty sure we'll hear something about it, but it won't even be as specific as like fourth quarter of next year or whatever, which I completely agree could be the case too, but they're going to need something big because it's been kind of rough for all of us for the last year or two. I truly still believe Pyro is coming by the end of this year. Okay. So
all right, good lead in for it. Thank you, MT. And by the way, I'm glad he mentioned that, and I shouldn't say the whole video. A tremendous amount of the video was Pyro. It went from Stanton, because they show the trees, then they show a shot outside of Hurston, and then of course there's no place to fly in Crusader, and there's no place to fly, to ride in ArcCorp. But then the rest of it they did was Pyro. And so to MT Stunner's point, I think that, well, okay, I won't go into about the Jimmy part. Let me bring in Admiral Kusanagi, and then I'll bring in Fast Cart. Admiral.
Oh, I'm up. Okay.
Because I know FC probably wants to say something to wrap up the show, because he usually waits till the end.
I just want to. So I think this is just showing us that they got back from Pyro. They made it back. So however they were rescued or whatever ship was used, I've always been hoping it was and they showed us the Corsair, but I always was hoping it was like the Perseus or something like that. We went out there and found it because, again, we saw how like the Corsair was able to get knocked out by the radiation pulse from the sun. So I'm kind of hoping it was like a bigger ship. Obviously, we were hoping that the Galaxy was going to be used kind of to fly back up to this point, but they flew back with the Corsair. So I'm just hoping that they've got something big in their plan that's saying like, hey, they're all back, and we just got to show you the video and go from there. So
okay,
yeah,
cool. All right, thank you, Admiral. All righty, let me bring in FC. Yeah, FC.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted other people have already mentioned this, but I just wanted to say that, this is the second appearance, as far as I know, of Jimmy, because he appeared a month ago on April 27th from the Royville at the end of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. What did he do?
Disco Land, Jared and him were having a conversation. It was one-sided, obviously, but Jared was talking about places, and he said Jimmy had a beautiful singing voice because he was making fun because we never seen what his face looked like or heard what he sounded like. But yeah,
he was. You mean at the end of the show, like when he's sitting at the bar? At the bar?
Yeah.
Really, I missed that.
Yeah.
Well, oh my God!
I can post the link.
Well, yeah, please. But you know what? To your point, if that's the case, that reinforces even more what I was going to say. So thank you for sharing that. What I was going to say was when I asked this is a fluke, and I guess what I was saying is this leading into something? And I think MT mentioned it. There's been this whole silence on Pyro, and of course, when we saw Jimmy last, it was when he was in Pyro. And so just like we were talking about whether these were clues with Squadron 42 with the removal of the game off the site, I'm wondering whether or not this is a precursor to CitizenCon, right?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, I think this is a form of hype because remember those manufacturers in Austin, at CitizenCon in Austin?
Yes, where they had the different ship manufacturers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have like an actor play Jimmy at CitizenCon.
Exactly. There you go. You're going exactly where I'm going, which is why when someone mentioned about him being the mascot, I was wondering whether or not this would be our introduction to a character that we see in game that now starts to show up in real time. There's a whole dynamic of this thing of Jimmy not talking, right?
Right.
And who does Jimmy represent? Does Jimmy represent those of us who have always looked forward to the game? Is Jimmy a representation of all the players who are wanting to be able to play this certain game and be this certain person, who admires Jax? Some people joked around and said, is Jimmy actually was Chris Roberts, representation of Chris Roberts, but who is this silent voice that is so dedicated to Jax, dedicated to this whole thing? And so are there parallels there? Or is it just the fact that he's a character that they've created? I want to go back to something that Kai said earlier, FC. And that's the fact that he said CIG is smart about their marketing. And, when you do something like this, guys, this isn't just written on the fly. And let me give some credit here to Disco, to Jared. Okay, Jared Huckabee. Because Jared is a huge engine behind this stuff that we see on IC as far as writing, producing, and also coordinating with what the development team at CIG is doing, and then interpreting that into those of us for the community managers, and then what we see on these weekly shows. A lot of this is him, guys. And so this idea of Jimmy, and this stuff has to be storyboarded out. This isn't just something that they did for Invictus. This has to be tied into, I think Kai said this earlier, where he's talking about how he started out as a foil, the person who was getting blown up and stuff like this. And there is a growth process of this character that they had to start working on this stuff a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years back, of developing a storyline that carries through all the way till not just Pyro, but maybe even the development 4 or 5 years from now. Who is Jimmy going to be? What's going to happen to Jax? They're not sitting down every time, there's an event coming up and saying, well, let's figure out where we're going to go with Jimmy. I guarantee you they have storyboarded this character out and timed it out. So that when CitizenCon comes, when IAE comes, they know exactly where they're going with these characters. What are you going to say, FC?
in my opinion, I think he the player in all of us, because he went from zero to hero.
Mhm.
Like he started, like you said, as a foil, and then in the last IAE he was rescuing Jack.
Yes.
He was doing all these heroic moves, and yeah, so I think he's representing the player in that aspect.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, MT. Jimmy's journey, right? You know, the road to Pyro.
Yeah.
Again, that could be a part of it. And I agree with you, Fast Car. Wouldn't it be cool to be there and see Jimmy come out on stage, right? And introduce in his own way something, right? The no talking, no speech. But, you know, we've come to be able to understand when Jimmy is doing something, what he's saying, right? Which is something that they develop with this character.
I think Jimmy will be walking around in silence. He'll have a minder with him, but people will be able to take selfies with him.
Oh yeah! That'd be so awesome, right? It would be so awesome because we've talked about that before. We went to the CitizenCon in 2018 in Austin. How much we liked the fact that they had the real Yellow Jacket there, right? Start introducing those real things of the game into the live action of what happens at CitizenCon. So, and you mentioned it earlier about that. Some people don't know this. When we were in Austin in 2018, what Fast Cart was referring to was they actually had tables for all of the ship manufacturers. They had hired actors who were dressed in Drake uniforms, draped in Idris. They had goodies, the Idris little keychains, and they had the little squeeze balls, you know, all types of stuff they would give you. And these people were in character, and you could go to the Drake table and talk to the Drake representative, and they had brochures for the ships, and you could talk to them about, I'm thinking about buying a Cutlass. And this person was educated and trained in talking about Drake Interplanetary and talking about the Cutlass. It was a real cool immersive experience, which I've hoped the CIG would continue to not only continue do, but develop even further. So like you said, Fast Cart, to see Jimmy there would be awesome, you know.
And you know what? It just occurred to me. I think Disney stole that idea for the hotel that they closed.
No, that would be great to say, but Star Trek did the same thing in Vegas years ago. So no, that's an old idea, the interactive stuff. But to that point, though, that level of interaction, we know Chris is really about immersion, right? And it's one thing to go to a Twitch convention or something, you know, and you see your face, but to start seeing people who are in the game or characters, just like we've always wished that at one of the Citizen Cons, we'll see Mark Hamill, we'll see these people show up and be there, right? But to see in-game characters there too, being role played out, I think would be very awesome as well. Who is that? Pilgrim 70. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for the follow.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, FC, I think your point is well made. And I think everybody made great points about Jimmy. You know, what we've seen, that journey for Jimmy in the game. I think it's great seeing him drop in on these ISCs. It's kind of like also let us know that something cool's going to happen. You know, this little thing that they did at the end with the tabletop thing was really great. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, and look at the link I put in at the end of the ISC from last month.
Okay,
so, yeah.
I will definitely take a look at it. Well, okay, you can stay here with me. We're going to wrap things up here, gang. Thank you guys so much for today. We had really great conversations. Space Dads Unite. Don't let these young whippersnappers tell you that you can't sit around and drink your coffee in your 100-point ship. 100,000 point health point ship. Man, that really got me going when I read that. I was like, what? Best card, I don't know.
I was wondering
it got the boomer. It got the boomer. It got the boomer in me going, man. I'm like, boy, don't let me get started. Anyway, all right, let's talk about what we've got coming up. Am I on the right screen? I guess I am. I hope this is the right screen because I sure don't have the right icon up. Yeah.
Like you're still on the
I do. Yeah, I was just trying to I changed all this, and it's like, okay, now did I get this thing right? I guess I did. Anyway, as you guys know, today is PodSat Podcast Saturday, where we support some colleagues of ours in the Star Citizen community, in particular, Paul Shelley with the Astro Pub. I don't know who we're rating to, by the way. Let me look who we're rating. But anyway,
my bad.
That's okay.
Paul is live.
Is he live? Okay. We support Paul Shelley with the Astro Pub. At 6 p.m. Eastern time, he kicks off the captain's table. Fast Cart is going to be on today as the guest there. So you guys make sure that you guys drop in. And don't ask Fast Cart to sing for you, but he will be there sharing as always with the community, which will be great.
So he wants me to sing? Who?
Yeah, who? Yeah, I know, you just can't wait. So yeah, be sure to join us at 6 p.m. Eastern time today for that. And then after that, following them is the guys, the OGs, Relay, Relay SC, they start at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you guys, if you've got some time today, Saturday, you can fill your afternoon and evening with some great Star Citizen information and gameplay. It's always a great place to stay on Saturdays. We've got a special show tomorrow. This is our annual show. We do this every year. It's our Invictus review show. Tomorrow, Fastcar's going to be hosting that show. We're going to be talking about all the things we saw at Invictus. A lot of stuff is stuff we're familiar with, but there have also been changes in relation to 319 that they'll be talking about. And of course, there are the new ships and vehicles that were put out this year. And so there's going to be conversation about that. And Fastcar, you got a special guest that's going to be on with you tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're going to have Smashley with us.
Smashley, first time going to be our guest, going to be on the show tomorrow. So you guys be sure to come hang out with Fastcar and the team, because they're going to have a really, really good show. Yeah.
And one last thing, we're going to have giveaways. So tune in for that.
I completely forgot about that. That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
I forgot about it.
You buried the lead.
Yeah, I know. So we are going to be giving away Mirai. We're going to be giving away the fighter. The Mirai is going to be given away tomorrow, the Fury, or it has been affectionately nicknamed. I don't know, Fastcar, if you heard the nickname for the Mirai. Have you heard what the nickname is for it?
What is it now?
Instead of people calling it the Fury, they call it the Furry.
Oh yeah, I have heard that.
Yes.
Yes.
That is starting to grow on folks.
I don't know if I didn't know it was catching on, but I have heard
Yeah, it's starting to catch on. People are calling it the Furry. So I guess like the Tonk, we're going to have the Furry. So we're going to be giving away a Furry tomorrow. We'll also be giving away, a RSI Lynx for those of you who may not have purchased one. There'll be an opportunity to get that. These will all be war bonded, and they're war bonds, and we're also giving you all the paints for them as well. So you'll get the paint packs.
Just the Chairman's one.
No.
All of them? Oh, okay.
No. I got the paints for them. So they're going to get the paints and the ships for those tomorrow. And then lastly, we're going to give away a Storm. And the Storm comes with the Chairman's paint. That will come with the paint for that as well, if I'm not mistaken, the second paint. So that's going to be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that tomorrow. 3 giveaways tomorrow. So definitely come hang out with the team on tomorrow. Okay. Other than that, I think that's it. I want to thank everybody who joined us today. You guys were awesome as always, for all the great comments and questions that we had. Don't forget, you guys can come to our Discord at any time and hang out with us. We always do an after show conversation. If you want to come in and you're a little shy about coming on live, you can always come in and say hi to us and ask us things or share things there with us. And Fastcar's my counterpart. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you being here as always. And
thank you for doing the show as always.
We're going to send you guys over to the man, Paul Shelley, over with the Astropub. So when you get there, give him some love. Let him know that you came from the Soul Citizens. You guys stay safe. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Stay safe out there, all right? And we'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow. Till then, peace, love, soul. Take it easy. As always, this thing didn't launch. It always drives me crazy that this doesn't happen. But I'm going to play. Oh, you know what? I can play it. So let's go ahead and send everybody over. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye, buddy.